Right, all new setup. Pretty nice. Well, it's not all new. Essentially, I've been in renter's limbo for the past 2.5 years. Right, so we were meant to move a year and a half ago. Now we're staying for another half a year. Essentially, the market in Australia has just gone nuts. And, well, we got a break, lucky enough, which is good for us. But it also means I've finally decided to just unpack and set up this workroom as a proper working room. So, desk is here, my computer's actually over there, same with my screens. So hopefully the mic sounds alright. I'm trying to find like a good central point for the two. Anyway, off topic, weird way to start the video. What are we talking about today? Well, you can probably see behind there. We're going to go through the products of FaB, right? Starting from the very start. Yeah, look at that. Arya welcome deck. Notice anything? What's it say by the hero? Right? Ninja. 218. And the back. Yes, so lucky enough, I got 2 copies. One, played with, obviously, broke it apart, and it just sits with my alpha cards. And then, of course, I have this nicely sealed. And a big thing. So obviously the class constructed versus Blitz wasn't a big thing. Wasn't a thing at all, right? So the Arya welcome deck is very streamlined. I mean, it's the same as the one you can find on the website to print and play, but it is, you know, the starting point. So worth a little bit of history. Now, in terms of products, aside from the history packs, I do have everything, right? I do it for the memorabilia sake more than anything. So bought, you know, all the original classic constructed decks at the time where they refer to as classic constructed, but they are 60 card decks compared to the now, you know, Blitz decks. Even the ones with the history pack are 40 card decks, which is a little bit interesting, right? Why not support both Blitz and classic constructed? It's something that's weighed on a lot of people's mind. But yeah, so there's the 4 original from Welcome to Wraith. Did not get a brick. In fact, I did not get play versions either, right? So these are just for keeping. I generally don't like sealed. I'm a bigger fan of draft and the flexibility in the play. But anyway, first major product. Welcome to Wraith. Of course, for anyone who, you know, wants the seal of verification, there you go. Alpha box. I do have 2. This is one of them. And, of course, we also have the unlimited version. Right, so I think this is the starting point of our real discussion. Welcome to Wraith came out. It supplied 4 heroes, right? Ninja, Brute, Warrior, and Guardian. This was for everyone, right? There was no decision making, right? If you wanted to play any of these heroes, this box was for you. And that's generally how all games start, right? The core set of cards gets tweaked and played with. You know, we see Alpha, then Unlimited, then all the different editions, and altogether these are the core cards. Now, Flesh and Blood is a bit unique in that aspect, right? Because these are essentially only the core cards for these 4 heroes, right? Aside from some core generics, this box itself, even though it's Alpha, isn't essentially the core of the entirety of Flesh and Blood. Yeah, and the same goes with Arcane Rising, right? So we got the introduction of another 4. Albeit slightly harder to see, right? To make out where everyone stands. There's Wizard. Is there only 2 on here? And then Dragon? Yeah, I'll never actually look closely at the box art. Again, for anyone who cares, there's the little seal. For Arcane Rising, I have 3 still sealed. And of course, followed that up with the unlimited version. Okay, now this is where we get the diversity, because generics, right, crossover, but we have 4 new heroes. Meaning if you want to play these 4 heroes, you might not be as interested in the original Welcome to Wraith, and vice versa. And this is a big sort of crux of the products for Flesh and Blood. They don't speak to every player, because they don't have something for every player. Yes, of course there are generics, but are you really going to search through a box for generics you might want if you're not interested in any of the core heroes? So again, we went from 4 to 8, right? So essentially the community could be thought of as split 50-50 between the 2 boxes. if the playstyle of these 4 heroes speaks to you, again, you're probably not going to really touch this box. You might pick up some secondary cards to play with it, but overall the level of community participation when it comes to a set, and I'm mainly speaking about the unlimited versions now, because obviously when it first came out, the whole thing was to open to experience it, but the amount of community participation versus its actual growth, this is something that we do need to keep an eye on and continue to evaluate, especially for Legendary Studios, as sets progress, as classes continue to diversify, and we have, again, a larger segmented player community. And then after Arcane Rising comes, you guessed it, Crew. Now, Crew, I have 4. Yes, 2 in acrylic cases, 2, because I don't have the acrylic cases, just sitting in a box somewhere, which I probably will open. Generally, again, I do this for memorabilia, so I'm not opposed to opening down to 1 of each box, as long as I can keep 1 box. I might even just open them so I can frame, you know, the different arts from the booster packs. I think that'd be nice. Where's the seal? There we go. Right, prosperity's sake. Right, for anyone who's interested. Okay, so then Crew. Crew is a bit different, right? Because this is the first supplemental set. So it offers cards, again, both segments of players, right? So if you enjoyed Arcane Rising more than Welcome to Wraith, if you enjoyed Welcome to Wraith more than Arcane Rising, Crew was the great unifier, right? It had cards for everyone. The downside of that is it was not draftable, okay? So there's no tokens in it, the packs are 10 cards, and it did set the precedent for supplemental sets going forward, right? They were meant to speak to every single player as we continue to branch out, and therefore have the most incentive to open and experience. It's a problem with pets. Can you see the hair? It's on the inside. I don't think you can. But yeah, so Crew was this great unifier. Meant to do unlimited box too, right? Just because it's like a pseudo collection showcase, right? We did my opened stuff, and now we're doing my sealed collection. But yeah, so Crew was a unifier, which is great. This is the product line that is probably more needed when it comes to Flesh and Blood, right? Rather than having, you know, two main sets to 1 supplemental, we'd probably be better off with a larger variety of supplemental sets. Again, sets that speak to everyone and entice everyone to participate and find the cards that they want. And this is definitely going to be the big struggle of Legendary Studios going forward, is how do they create a set that does encapsulate everything that a player could want, right? How do they capitalize on the entirety or the majority of their player community in sets? Speaking of which, we get Monarch, right? First edition as well. I do have Unlimited somewhere. I bought Unlimited for Monarch, right? I bought into the hype. I got quite a few of both. And then we all know the story of what happened, right? I mean, I talked about it for a month or so in my reflection on FaB 2.0. But yeah, so we get Monarch, and we get the introduction of subtypes, right? So we have Warrior, Runeblade, Brute, and now Illusionist, as well as Shadow and Light. So this introduction of a subtype, again, has segmented the player community further, right? It's not, there's a little bit of crossover between Warrior, but now we have Light Warrior, and we have Normal Warrior, right? Light Warrior can play all the cards Normal Warrior can, but then Normal Warrior can't play all the cards that Light Warrior can. So overall, if you play a Light Warrior, you want all the cards. If you play a Normal Warrior, well, you're not interested in the Light cards. But then you also tie in the actual mechanics of the heroes. So Boltyn plays a lot differently to Dorinthia, so the cards that excel in Dorinthia might not all excel in Boltyn. So overall, again, we have new products that segment the playgroup and don't have the benefit of standard rotation, right? Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, all the cards are still valid, are still playable, so there is this overall lack of incentive to experience Monarch unless you're interested in those mechanics, right? Outside of the initial set release, what is the desire to continue to open these products? Compared to a lot of other card games, you know, there's not a substantial amount. Obviously, in the first alpha boxes, yes. But from Monarch going forward, we see demand generally be that of whatever people need to play, right? Monarch sat, Tails sat, Everfest sat and fell down. And to be honest, this is, again, the worry that I have going forward is what is the desire to reapproach these sets? I was personally hoping that Dusk Till Dawn would revalue Monarch. Yes, it has done that to an extent, but, you know, Visette plays different to Chain, and Prism has a whole new core mechanic, so you'd rather chase those cards than look for the fundamentals in Monarch, right? You'd open Dusk Till Dawn for them, and then you'd probably buy the cards off the secondary market from Monarch. Or, well, I mean, Unlimited is, you know, essentially dirt cheap, so you could go the Unlimited route, but overall, they're not sitting together or meshing together as well as what I would like. And then, of course, off of Monarch, we also have the first Blitz decks. So we have our pack of 8, right? 4 and 4, 4 Shadow, 4 Light. I do have the loose boxes somewhere. It should say on the back, right? Flesh and Blood, Monarch, Blitz decks. Okay, so we see this departure from Classic Constructed as sort of the entry medium for players. In the first 4 decks, we saw Classic Constructed serve as the main format, and now we have Blitz as this more approachable, quicker, entry-level format. Of course, at the higher competitive level, yes, it does get intense, but it is still the meant as on-ramping mechanism for the game. So we have our first big PreCon decks, and these, like Crucible of War, set the tone for everything going forward. The issue with it is, outside of the initial opening, the value or the points of these decks is not there. More so, they don't benefit Legend Story Studios a lot. So again, if your main product, boxes, you know, doesn't capture the majority of the player base, and then your PreCon decks only capture the entry-level players, well, we're sort of missing some playgroups, right? And altogether, this is sort of what I'm trying to get at, is we need diversification in our product line. Now, I don't want it to go as over the top as, say, Pokemon or Magic, but we do need something that is a bit more enticing. And especially in terms of decks, I know that everyone would love to see a Classic Constructed variant come back, right? Maybe even a proper powerful deck that has a few staples in it that actually makes it worthwhile to sort of circumvent, you know, either the secondary market or finding boxes, which at this point, it would mainly circumvent the secondary market over the incentive to open boxes. Now, I'm not saying nuke certain cards like Command and Conquer or Enlightened Strike or the Crown of Providence, but just have it as a bit of a medium to entice players to all participate in the PreCon decks. Right, I buy them because I like to have them on my shelves. I don't open them, right? I don't bother with the cards because there's not a whole lot there. But anyway, after Monarch, we get Tales of Arya. Now, yeah, we get a bit crazy with a new subtype, Elemental. So although we revisit Guardian, Ranger, and Wizard, right, we also have this Elemental tagline, meaning that once again, the incompatibility is there. Anyone who wants to play these new heroes does want the old cards, but anyone playing these old heroes doesn't necessarily want the majority of cards in this box. So, once more, we get player segmentation. We are now up to 4, 8, 16, and then Shapeshifter and Merchant from Crew. So 18 different heroes for the players to be split between. Now, I'm pretty sure no one in their right mind has gone and you know, actively plays all 18 heroes. To be honest, I'd be gobstruck if there was someone out there actively playing all 18. Chances are the majority of people are going to play only a handful of heroes. So we circle back to, again, this de-incentive for people to participate in every single box because there isn't something in the box for every single player. Then we get Everfest. Now, I love Everfest. Right, aside from its overprinting and its I guess, decline in value, right, I think Everfest is probably my favorite set. I like the carnival theme, and again, it has something for everyone, and it tries to sort of circumvent that. It has strong cards for everyone, and then it also has the carnival cards, right, which are meant to expand the generic pool in a unique way that does incentivize people to open all of these boxes. So by and large, to me, I would say that Everfest has encapsulated exactly what Crucible of War has done, and it does a good job of, again, expanding upon it in terms of tackling the expanded state of play through the diverse number of heroes. Then we get to the FaB 2.0 block, right? So Dynasty, Uprising, and Outsiders. Now, I don't have any loose Dynasty boxes, so we'll just have to settle for a case, right? So case Dynasty, then we have Uprising and Outsiders. Right, went in that order. So Uprising, right, saw the addition of, again, a new set of heroes, Draconic, and also, right, the smallest amount of standard heroes, if you will, in a set. We got FaB, and we got Dromai. You can count Icelander if you'd like, but I don't really, because, again, only the young hero was in it. But sure, why not? We'll say 3. Okay, because that also sets the tone for Outsiders. We move away from 4 core heroes to 3. Right, so from Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, Monarch, we saw 4 heroes. Then Uprising and Outsiders, we see 3 collective heroes being supported, or rather incentivized to play through these boxes. Again, that is a small selection of the entirety of play. If I'm not interested in Draconic, if I'm not interested in the new ninja, who again plays differently than the old ninja, or illusionist, what is my incentive for Uprising? If I don't want assassin, ninja, or ranger, 3 heroes that, you know, sort of play similarly, why would I bother with Outsiders? Overall, it streamlines it, and it makes it a lot easier to draft, which is great. But again, we've lost some incentive for people to participate in the normal means, right? If drafting was the only method for people to consume these boxes, to consume any TCG, they would do horribly, right? Drafting isn't going to equate to huge sales in boxes. Right, the price point would have to be huge if that was the core demographic you were hitting. No, the core demographic are gamblers. Right, I myself am a gambler. I enjoy opening boxes over, I guess, hard gambling, right, because I know of the severe repercussions of hard gambling. So, I like TCGs, right? I'm not going to lie. I do this because I like to, you know, invest, quote unquote, and try to recoup my money through big ticket pools. That's fun to me. Plus, then the sorting aspect is therapeutic in itself. But again, lottery aspect, amount of heroes supported. These sides of the coin have dwindled, and I don't think streamlining the boxes for draftability is the favorable option for Legendary Studios to pursue. I think if we continue to see, you know, 3 heroes supported, well, overall, there's going to be a decrease in incentive larger than we have already for boxes. And personally, I don't think that's enough, especially when they have picked 3 heroes with very similar playstyles. Yes, it allowed them to do the class combo cards, but it's still very evident that Legendary Studios are testing the water with products. And if you were going to do that, if you were going to test, I would go all in, right? I would create different product lines and use them all to test what works. Because just having blitz PreCon decks, right, that only serve the entry-level player, and then having sets that emphasize draftability when draftability isn't the core demographic, isn't a strong business model for Legendary Studios. And if we do want to see continued growth in the game, if we want to have that growth translated to Legendary Studios, well, I think the product line is something that does need to be tackled and changed. Right, FaB 2.0 addressed the issues with what's inside the box. But overall, I think we need more variation in the boxes for Flesh and Blood to continue with its momentum and go forward. Because again, any growth in the secondary market, right? Outsiders was great for Azalea. I doubt, you know, again, that a huge populace of the players of Azalea are opening Outsiders for Azalea. The majority, again, going to pick up cards from the secondary market, and growth in the secondary market is not going to equate to growth in Legendary Studios, because they have no stake in it. This is their product. This is what they sell. This is what they make. And if, again, these products aren't capitalizing on the entirety of the community, then what's the point? If we're only seeing a quarter of the community be emphasized to open these boxes because of the choice in heroes, then again, what's the point? And I will continue to emphasize, what is the point of these products? We continue to grow and expand horizontally. Welcome to Wraith worked because it was the only product. There were only 4 heroes. Arcane Rising didn't cannibalize its desirability entirely because it only split down the middle. But we are now at the point where If you just go off of classes, there's 13. If you tie in the different elements, right, you tack on 5, so that's 18. Throw in some of the other novelty characters, or just the different class variations, and we have a huge pool of different playstyles, of different desired cards. And again, how do you make a product that speaks to those players? I think the best thing to do, in my personal opinion, is to have character-specific releases, right? Have a main set, have it be this draftable product, but come out with these small, tailored collections for specific heroes, right? Again, you're playing to your strength, because you will never be able to create a product that, again, speaks to every single player, right? It would have to be massive, because even the supplemental sets in themselves, right, there's not enough for each hero to incentivize opening. While it is better than these products, right, there is no way to actually make a product that supports all 13 classes to the degree that the draftable boxes do. So, again, go all in on that, right? Have these curated selection of, 50 cards, right? Have these tiny booster packs of, say, 5 cards, and make them class-specific to rope in those specific players, right? To try and emphasize to them, well, you've got a decent chance of pulling these cards, so look for them, rather than just using the secondary market, right? If I didn't like to gamble, right, again, to be completely honest, then I would just be buying master sets every single release, because it is significantly cheaper than opening product. But I know, I could be completely wrong, right? What do you think? We have discussed incentive a lot, and I do think I have a strong case for it. And yes, we are still in the infancy of Flesh and Blood. But that's all the more reason to have these discussions and to start sort of highlighting what the community would like. Again, Legend Story Studios is a great company who listens to their community. So we need to speak up, and we need to be discussing the things we'd like to see and the changes that we would like to have happen. So let me know your thoughts, and hope you enjoyed. See ya. Oops, as I was packing up, I missed one product. The classic battle deck. Actually, I should have loose. Sorry, the sound probably sounds weird when I turn away to grab stuff off my shelves. Yeah, so, Arya and Dorinthia. Fabulous products. Again, all three of these are blitz decks, right? They're not classic constructed. Yeah, 40 card. Which I think that's sort of another missed point, right? Make these the classic constructed variants and just release a lot more of them. Right? Pit, various heroes against. Yeah, cycle through them all. Just, we need more products, and we need more diverse products.